building with the substrate framework, so we're natively interoperable with all other layer ones within the Polkadot ecosystem.
Hey everyone, my name is Milan. I lead BD for Orca, and Orca is an AMM on Solana, so it lets you swap any Solana tokens from one to another in a decentralized way.
Hey everyone, this is Music from Injective. So we're building a very specialized layer 1 for DeFi apps. We're part of the Cosmos ecosystem. We use the Tenor consensus to build. Very similar to that in many ways, except we're Cosmos and Polkadot, so yeah.
What's up everyone? Said from Jump Crypto, also a contributor on Pyth. Pyth is a work on Solana. It's also going to be bridging to other chains such as Terra, Polygon, BSC, Injective. And yeah, we provide pricing data for anyone to build with. Our sources are all the biggest players in traditional finance, crypto, kind of a hodgepodge of market participants that are providing their data on chain.
Hi, my name is Ben. I'm one of the co-founders of Jupiter Aggregator. We're the largest DEX aggregator on Solana, and we help anyone find the best price trade routes for any token pair.
Hi everyone, Alex, and I'm the head of business development for Saber, which is the leading stablecoin and wrapped assets AMM on Solana. And to hear all of you guys, I might need to put the microphone slightly closer because I couldn't hear what you guys were saying, just FYI.
Here we go, you know? So last year, I think even more than last year, right, when the Solana DeFi summer really started, right? I think it was like the Solana hackathon, and after that, the famous SBF tweet, right? Like, I'll buy all of your Solana for $3, and then you all know what I'm talking about, right? So after that, a lot of things have happened in this space, right? And if we were to talk about any milestone or any success, either for your own project or project in DeFi in general, right? Do you guys want to talk anything interesting around those things that happened in the last 14, 15 months in DeFi?
Saber was the first Solana project to hit 4 billion TVL, which is pretty cool. And we've listed, I think, every stablecoin and wrapped asset that exists that is remotely able to be hosted on Solana. So I think we have 97 pairs. And we also launched the Saber Wars, which is generating millions and millions of dollars for protocols and hugely increasing stablecoin TVL on Solana from multiple chains. So, yeah.
Awesome. So Jupiter launched end of October of last year, and we were the first. But I think it was a good time because a lot of DEXs were coming online, a lot of tokens, a lot of markets, and I think it was getting harder for a lot of people to trade any token pair that they wanted. So to date, actually, we're pretty excited. We're closing in on almost 10 billion in trade volume. And we have aggregated about 15 DEXs so far. So pretty much all the liquidity on Solana.
Congrats.
Yeah, so Pyth launched sometime in August, and we had maybe a couple of price feeds, a couple of sources for data. Now we've hit 50. Today, actually, we hit 50 data providers. Some of the largest institutions have joined and brought their data on chain. We've been able to hit 1.8 billion in TVS, so total value secured. So that means there's a strong demand within the Solana ecosystem for high quality, high fidelity orderable price feeds. And we're excited to keep growing.
Yeah, sounds great. So Injective launched its mainnet in November of last year. We've been building for quite a while. We started back in 2018. Since mainnet launch, the growth has been pretty extraordinary. So we built our own chain, and on top of that, we also built the first native dApp on Injective called Injective Pro, which is a derivatives DEX, order book based. Right now, we are quickly approaching 5 billion in volume in the past 3 months. Pretty special. We actually were the fastest DEX to hit the $1 billion mark as well. So yeah, all around impressive stuff. And next step for us is really to build out this very sophisticated smart contract layer on top, where people won't just be able to fill exchanges on Injective, but also a plethora of different apps and applications that work with guys like Lead over here at Pyth to sort of have new assets across different chains. So, yeah.
Well, Orca launched last February, and a ton of things went down since then. We launched yield farming, so very similar to Saber. You can earn tokens for providing liquidity across Orca. I think the most interesting thing is in the next few days, you'll probably hear about concentrated liquidity. So the team's been pretty heads down building concentrated liquidity, which is kind of the next version of Orca, and that will be coming out very, very soon. So I think that would be really interesting for just changing how liquidity is used on Solana overall. Beyond that, let's see. We've launched the Orca Impact Fund, so 1 bit from every trade on Orca goes to fighting climate change. It's amassed a pretty large amount. I think it's about $1 million in the past 6 months. So that's been really cool. And I think in the Solana ecosystem in general, it's just been crazy to see the growth. Like I remember last summer, 30, 40 people showed up in Madison Square Park, and that was like the Solana New York City meetup. And now like this, thousands of people, which is really cool to see.
Nice, yeah, actually, so at MIT we have the Bitcoin Club, and the amount of people that attend every single session is correlated with the price of Bitcoin. And so like, I think like that kind of speaks to your statement about Solana as well. I think for Manta Network, we're probably the earliest or the youngest project here. We actually recently launched our testnet around 3 months ago. But I think one of the really exciting aspects of this is that we're not just enabling private transactions with a private coin, right? Like we're enabling privatization of any crypto asset. And so far we've seen probably like over 15,000, 30,000 transactions just on an unincentivized testnet over the past few weeks. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff.
That's awesome. Like there's so many things to celebrate about. Congrats to all you guys. I think there's like one topic that comes around in almost every single pitch deck like these days. Like how do we bring the 100 million, like proverbial 100 million people to Web3, right? So for normal people that is going to come into, when I say normal people are like who are not crypto native, who come to Web3, right? Why should they care about the project that you guys are associated with?
I think the thing with Saber is that because Saber facilitates so much sort of cross-chain liquidity, Solana can't grow from a liquidity perspective without Saber's Saber wars going on and ultimately attracting cross-chain liquidity the way that we do it. So in terms of bringing 100 million people onto Solana, you need very robust liquidity markets to allow that to happen. And Saber essentially facilitates that from our Tribeca DAO governance platform, which everyone should go check out. It's super cool. Basically, in order to have 100 million people doing swaps, trades, spending money, you need to have the money there. And if you're coming from Terra or Avalanche or Ethereum, we want to make sure that you can bring your currency and your assets over in a robust way that essentially no fees and no slippage. So that's what we facilitate. And without us, it would be hard to imagine the liquidity markets being as robust as they are. So, we are essentially a long-term investment, and we want to invest long-term in Solana. So, yeah.
Cool. So we have an SDK, and there are a lot of really cool people building with their SDK and incorporating swap in their properties. I think one of the most interesting integrations we've seen is with the DeFi land. So DeFi land is Farmville plus DeFi. And I think what's interesting here is that, I can imagine a future where people are swapping and they're yield farming, but their interface is like growing crops or, trading, an icon or something within a game, right? And so the web interface kind of disappears and everything starts to become like more immersive, more sort of gamified, and then people don't even have to understand sort of the underlying DeFi concepts, which can be a little bit unapproachable.
So I think what's really cool about Pyth is that it's building this core critical piece of infrastructure that a lot of protocols need. in order to create the products of tomorrow, right? So the different types of things that users, part of those 100 million users that you spoke of, are going to need a lot more price feeds or different types of data supported by an Oracle. So our job is really to bring that off-chain data on-chain, and I think that's why Pyth is exciting. I think that's why Pyth is a core kind of primitive within the Solana ecosystem, and then now through our integration with Wormhole, we've built a data bridge, so we'll be able to send that data to all these other blockchains. Builders who are building products there can start using them. For example, Mirza mentioned that on Injective, they're going to start supporting SPL tokens on their exchange. Hopefully Pyth will be part of that story.
Definitely. So for us, the answer is very simple. There are two user bases we want to target. So the first cohort is really users who want access to any asset that they might want to purchase, right? That's the main pain point that we're trying to solve. Like on a sex perspective, the only way a normal everyday user can buy many of these assets is through things like Binance or Phoenix. And the fees are egregious, there's lots of other issues. And the second way is these sort of DeFi exchanges, but there are too many hubs right now in terms of like, oh, if I want to acquire this one asset in Terra, I need to go onto like TerraSwap Bitcoin, right? Why couldn't we just have one exchange that could have access to all these assets? So that's what we're building for, and that's what we built. So, for example, you can trade native Terra assets on Injective, you can trade native ETH assets. There's no wrapping, there's no like fragmented liquidity, and you can purchase these assets in a very capital efficient way. So that's cohort number one. And cohort number two is, I don't think any one application right now is well suited to serve 100 million users. That's my personal perspective. So I kind of like agree with Said on this, that we need more applications building because each of them will have their own cohorts. So once we have the smart contract where people can build other applications, and as on-ramps are improved, like people coming in through fiat, until these things are solved for and we have more applications, I don't think we're going to get like all those, like 100 million users. Like we can talk about it, but crypto and DeFi especially is still very niche, like extremely niche. So yeah.
Cool. No, I mean, I pretty much agree with Mirza here, where I think it's going to be a full court press to get to 100 million users, where essentially, like, you need Saber to do the stable swaps, so you need Jupiter to do the aggregators, you need Pyth to be an Oracle, you need the validators to keep improving the network so that with all the new transactions coming on, it still keeps up to date. On the DAO side, we need a lot of you guys who are building multi-sig wallets and ways to pretty much manage keys in a better way. So I think to get from here to 100 million users, it's essentially every single vertical within Solana just needs to keep building and getting better. I think for Orca specifically, our goal is essentially to be a liquidity backbone and really target the long tail of altcoins. So right now it's an AMM, works on the constant product curve. Very, very soon it'll be concentrated liquidity, and hopefully that opens up a whole new world in which our target users or the swappers will get much better rates, and our target users who are on the LP side and more advanced will be able to earn a lot more yield using this different infrastructure.
All right, so I'm building a privacy protocol, so my answer is going to be privacy, but for like a legitimate reason, right? So like I don't know how many wallet addresses you guys have, but I feel like I have at least like 50 plus, of which, right, like if you needed me to retrieve my assets, I don't know how to retrieve all of them right now. And that's just kind of a use case that we're used to. But if you really think about it, right, like why do we have so many fragmented wallets? Why do we keep them isolated from each other? It's because we don't want our identity to be fully graphed out by, the blockchain, which is fully accessible publicly. And I think that that's going to be a growing problem as we continue to have more users coming in with more money who want to keep their assets and their valuations private, right? And so I do think like privacy is definitely very needed in the DeFi space. And there are a lot of great projects in privacy right now, but the issue that I see is that it's fragmented. And what I mean by that is like right now privacy is a use case. But privacy shouldn't be a use case. It shouldn't be like, oh, I need privacy, like privacy is a market. No, privacy needs to be a utility. It should be a service that's provided for all different use cases within the industry, right? Because like, I don't know, I know a lot of you guys are working on DeFi projects, NFTs, marketplaces, etc. How many of you guys have privacy natively built into your application? It's very rare, right? Because you need to hire a whole cryptography team. There's a lot of heavy lifting. So I think like one way to bring DeFi to 100 million users, 1 billion users, the entire world, is like you definitely need privacy as a service. Simplifying that barrier to entry to provide privacy as one of the fundamental features of the core use case that you're providing, specifically DeFi.
Awesome. So we have like probably like last one question, and this last one question would be, we have all these hackers trying to build like all this different things, right? From games to NFTs to like, it can go on forever. So you guys are like either legends or legends to be in DeFi. Why should these hackers be building in DeFi? Like in terms of what is the perspective that you can provide to them, and like probably can be aligned with each.
This is a longer conversation, and everyone here who's building has a different use case. So just feel free to like find me like for the rest of the week, or add me on Telegram or anything. But generally speaking, I don't think there's any space in American sort of entrepreneurial markets that has more interest and is more exciting to be in than DeFi and crypto generally. But if you want like feedback or ideas or help or anything, just come find me. We can talk about it, and I'll just give all the advice I can conceivably give.
So, I think the ecosystem has grown quite a bit, and things are a lot easier and things are a lot faster now, right? So I think we've gone from maybe chewing glass to like chewing gum or something, but like we're just at the very beginning. I mean, a lot of the DeFi protocols you see are sort of the basic building blocks, and I think a lot of the more interesting things will happen once people start composing on top of the great projects that we've already built. So this is an even better time to be building.
So I would say it's super interesting just to see the space, how it's progressed over the last 6 months, 12 months, however long. There's so much change happening in Web3, and it's really hard to build decentralized applications, but because it's hard, like everyone is excited and energized. Like I don't feel like you get this kind of feeling being in a place if you're at like a Web2 company or a Web2 conference. But everyone here feels like they're working on something for like the first time, or they're doing something in DeFi for the first time. And so I think that's exciting. I think the challenges that come with being early is the reason why everyone's here. We want to have an impact. We want to make sure our work is meaningful and actually allows people to unlock real value and change the way people do things, right? I think that's a big part of why everyone's gathered here today, and everyone's excited, and we've been able to have the crowds that we've had. So, I would say that's the great part about building this space, and then very excited for the future as well.
Just echoing everything said so far, but I think DeFi probably is, even though it's been around for a couple of years as a concept, I think it's a new ocean of opportunity. I think 99% of DeFi applications that should have been built have not been built yet. So as an entrepreneur, as a hacker, if you're looking into the space, you're just going to have a lot less competition from a business standpoint. The second perspective is it's very cheap to experiment. If you were building a Web2 company or anything else, it's very hard to pivot. In DeFi, you could build on different chains. When the markets are down as they are now, gas prices and things like that are also lower generally, which makes it easy for you guys to pivot and try out new things. And I think third, because I think if you look at the brain drain from Web2 coming into Web3, it just speaks volumes about where the direction is headed. And if you guys want to build for the future, like this is it. Like all of the smartest people I know are not building or trying to build this.
Cool. I generally agree with pretty much everything you guys said. I think just more tactically for anyone building in a hackathon, I would say be pretty strategic with the choice of what you're building, because essentially crypto moves in waves. So if you're building something for like a short period of time, just a few weeks or a month, try doing something that's going to get a lot of users. Because maybe for 3 months like NFTs are the hot thing, and then 3 months later like DeFi becomes the hot thing, and then maybe it's gaming. So like when the attention is on a certain sector, the attention is really on that sector in crypto and DeFi. So usually good if it's like a French product to build something like that. And then I think beyond that, probably just focus on like the core product. I think it gets real easy as you're building. A week after launch, you're gonna have 1,000 different feature requests, and it's more just trying to figure out prioritizing and building out your vision without trying to build like the 1,000 products that are possible to build with DeFi.
Yeah, and then I guess, DeFi and just blockchain in general, when you're thinking about Web3, right, I really think like we're building towards two things. One is sovereignty, and the other one's empowerment. I know that sounds very like, philosophical, but like on sovereignty side, right, like it's 505, right? If I want to sell my Tesla stock, how do I sell that? I can't, the markets are closed. Trick question, right? So it's not really self-sovereignty. You don't actually have access to your own assets. And this isn't just about the stock market, right? If I wanted to move from my savings to my checkings account, 5 business days, 7 business days, right? It's not just like a technological barrier, it's a societal barrier. And I think like being technology first gives us a lot of opportunity to hack that growth and change things that honestly just don't make sense in 2022. And so I think like when you are building a DeFi product, right, like I think like we have the advantage right now today to really be able to move fast because, for better or for worse, right, we're in a gray area. So the second thing is the empowerment, right? Like we're not just, I think I heard someone else up here earlier talking about like, oh, I could be a market maker and on an AMM. I never knew I could do that. I thought that was just for like super big funds and rich people. It's no longer about super big funds and rich people, right? We can all be liquidity providers. We can all be market makers. And so I think democratizing that sort of access is very important to what everyone is building out.
Awesome. Well, that is all for this DeFi panel. So thank you so much for being here. Let's give a big round of applause for all of the people that are here.